Welcome, everybody. It is Seth Apter. I am back for another live, and I'm very, very, very excited about this one. I know that I say that for every live, and it's true, but there's an extra very for this one. I am here today to share with you the end of that right behind me, my 2024 inspiration wall. It's the breakdown, it's the takedown, it's the beginning of a new year. And a new year means a new wall. So we are going to go and say hello for just a few minutes to everybody. And then we're going to move into the takedown. And I'm also going to share some information about the wall. I know many of you have been following this process for years now because I've been doing it publicly for 5 or 6 years, I think, in a row. And some of you may never have had this experience before, and it's fun. I like to call it Herculean because it's a lot of work to make this wall. Not that much work to take it down, but then I have to rebuild. And that's going to be live as well 2 weeks from today on January 28th, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, also live on YouTube and Facebook. So we'll spend again a couple minutes welcoming, and then we're going to move on to the main attraction. I want to thank Janine for being here in the background, working her magic, leaving comments on both FaceTube and FaceTube. Oh my God, maybe we finally have the new social media channel we all need, FaceTube. But for the moment, we have Facebook and YouTube. And she is there working away, probably working harder than me. So I want to welcome you if you're here, Chris and Kylia, Wendy, Beth, Linda, Tracy, Cheryl, Rhonda, Carolyn, Karen, Diane, Julia, Barbara, Icona, who hasn't seen one of these before, so she's in for it. Nancy, yeah, Linda, I agree. I think FaceTube might be the future. Janine, could you work on that maybe in the background so that by the end of this live, you have created with your amazing skills an entire new social media platform for all of us? I think that would be good. Loretta, welcome, welcome. Anna Sophia, so good to see you here. So I just want to make mention that this is streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. A couple caveats about that. Facebook gives us closed captioning automatically for the lives. I've had trouble setting that up for YouTube, so I don't want to leave Facebook, but I will tell you Facebook is very, very glitchy and has been for a bit with these lives. So YouTube, I'm encouraging you guys to go to YouTube, maybe FaceTube in a couple months, but right now YouTube, and watch me there. And then if you also sign up and follow me, you can get notifications for when I will go live. I've been threatening / promising that YouTube is going to be bigger and bigger for me. And as of halfway through last year into this year, it's begun. So please get used to that. YouTube it is. Hey, Annie, joining for the first time from Denmark. Welcome, welcome. Tiffany from Iowa. Love it. And Lisa's here. Oh, it's such a good group. Amanda, thank you guys. So I really appreciate you being here. I am not going to spend too much time as I usually do welcoming. I just want to say hi to everybody. Kyle just joined from Durango, Colorado. So I'm going to say hi, hi, hi. But what I do want to say is that at the end of every year and the beginning of every year, I have had for quite a long time a process, an activity, an installation, call it what you want. But I have started this year, actually last year, I think, to do it in January rather than December and January. So this is kind of the new routine. Now I'm going to edit this for YouTube so that there's a condensed version without all the chit chat and riffraff. So I am going to just pretend that I hadn't seen you already, and I'm going to do my intro. So if it feels like I'm saying hi twice, it's because I am. So let's do the countdown together. Three, two, one. Hey, everybody, it is Seth Apter. I am back from my studio in New York City. And I am so excited today because this bad boy, this beast behind me is coming down. It's the takedown and the breakdown. So if you don't know about this ritual, this annual ritual, for about 10 years, I've been creating this installation in my studio. It's on the wall, hangs on the wall, it takes up a good amount of space, but it has become something that's really important to me for many, many reasons. Over the last bunch of years, I've streamed live the breakdown and the build, and I'm continuing to do that. So stay tuned for the build. But today it's all about the takedown and the breakdown. So I just want to tell you a little bit about it before I actually do it. So it's on my wall. It measures about 3.5 feet wide by two, almost and a half feet tall. So it's a big space. Plus, it's got these little bit of art anchors on the edges, and then some things hanging down below it, which makes it seem even like bigger than it is. But it's really all of this. It started as one thing. I don't even remember why I put it up the first year, to be honest. I'm always transparent about that. But it's become something else. And what it's become for me a statement, an artist installation. So I take it down and then I rebuild it. And I rebuild it in one segment. I don't necessarily mean I start in the morning and then finish at night. It takes me quite a while, but it is an effort that I put a lot of into, and I let it develop naturally. So at the end of it, it's a statement about where I am as an artist in that moment in time. So when I take a photo or I do a video, I can compare year by year by year to see how the wall has changed. And it really has changed. It's become so much more layered and complex, which I think is a representation of my artwork. So for me, it's a moment in time to define myself as an artist, to understand my own creative voice. I encourage you guys to do this, all of you. It doesn't have to be a wall. We don't always have a wall. Do it on a page, do it in a journal, do it on a 12 by 12-inch scrapbook page. Make it small, make it big, do it on a 2 foot by 2 foot panel, and just create something and photograph it. And that's you in that moment. And then do it again and then compare over time. It's fascinating. What I will say is that the way this works is that it goes up, and once it's up, it stays up. So this is going to go up in a few weeks, and it will stay that way with very few exceptions for the entire calendar year of 2025. I use it for inspiration. I sit right here all the time at my art and computer desk. It's always by me. If I am stuck, I look up, and something about it, the color, the placement, the layers, the words, the designs, the symbols, the memories trigger something for me. So that is really great. But it also reminds me that creating is a combination of extreme fun and pleasure, and sometimes some anxiety and hard work. And it's a good reminder to me when I'm making art. And honestly, this is built exactly like any of my artworks. I create it in the same way. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I just start. That's how I make my art. Never have a finished product in mind. I just put something down, the first layer leads to the second layer. That's what this is. Once this is all down, and I'll tell you more about this in when I do the build. But when I take this down, one little thing will go up, and then a second thing will go up, and it'll just build out and build out. It will change, it will layer, it will update, and then sort of like in a magical instant, it seems to be done. Today, it's not about doing; it's about ending. And I used to think after a year of living with this that breaking down the installation would be challenging and difficult or emotional. And it isn't. It really isn't. It's not challenging. It might be a little emotional, but it's not difficult. And once I do the first few things, it just goes from there. That's like the people who have trouble tearing pages out of books. Once you do that once or twice, you just do it and do it and do it, and you get it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the whole way it's built as I take it down. Just to suffice it to say before I continue that everything on there, it's just stuff. And Lord knows we all have stuff, right? That's why I say everybody can make this. So some of these are my artwork. Some of these are my just doodles and my things I tear off other things I make. Some of them are gifts from other artists. Some of them are cards. Some of them are things I pulled out of magazines or newspapers or printed out off the internet. Some of them are artworks that I purchased from other artists. It's a complete conglomeration, which is why when several people say to me throughout the year, why don't you like make a print of that? I would buy it. I don't want to do that because while this is all mine, all these individual pieces are other people, and I don't feel comfortable selling prints that are focused on the work of other artists. Um, so what ends up happening is the elements that are on here in any one corner lead me to the next element. And then, as I said, it grows and grows. But now it's going to reduce and reduce. I just want to welcome all of you who have joined me. I am doing this live. I am, for the moment, not looking at the comments, and I am rather going to focus on the breakdown. Janine is tracking the comments. If you hang around for a while, I will have a Q&A after. I'm going to try to do some explaining as I go so that you see what it is that I'm doing, and maybe I can answer your questions without even seeing them. But I promise at the end, I'll go, and if I have missed questions and you're still here, just ask them again, and Janine is keeping track. All right, so let's just break it down, which really is easier said than done. No, it's easier done and said. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm literally going to just find an element. I don't want to block too much and take it down. So here's just one example. This is a piece of art that I got from Roxanne Evans Stout. I really, really love it. And it is probably going to go back on the wall next year because when things come down, they go into some sort of container and they go into a big pile. All year long, I save stuff. I save stuff that I think would be good and inspirational for the wall. And then when it comes time to rebuild, I then go into that stash and pick and choose. And that stash includes stuff that hasn't been on the wall ever. And it includes things that have been on the wall over and over and over again every year. I really, really, really enjoy seeing elements that repeat and repeat and repeat. You know, they're my favorites. Some of you know what's coming up because you see it every year and you can imagine it's probably going to be there again. So for example, whoop, this butte, this is one of my favorite faces of all time. This is from an artist, Lynn Hope. I don't know when this was done, but I think it actually, if I look in the back, it doesn't say, but I'm going to say, oh yeah. Nope, I'm going to say this is at least 10 years old, and this is up there every year. I just adore her. So you're probably going to see her soon. You will notice that in addition to all these art elements, sometimes there are other things. So for example, here I have some just twisted metal, found metal. Love that. I like to make this dimensional. There might be things that may not even be sort of clear what they are at first, but this is an antique pin. I love the stitching on the back. You know, that would be on some uniform, which I think is pretty cool. I have a good amount of metal. And one of the themes from this past year was sort of numbers or time passing. So I have a lot of these elements that are sort of measures, if that makes sense. So, you know, the word, the passage of time. But then I have, yeah, this is a beaut here. This really old rusted metal ruler. And these also act as borders because you guys, if you know me, you know I love linearity. And so there are sort of segments and borders that exist in here as well. Now, how does it actually work? Let me just stop for a second and tell you that because many of you don't know. Underneath this stuff I should say, 6 metal magnetic panels. They're 18 by 18 inches each. I got them so many years ago, long before I set this up. I honestly do not remember where I've gotten them. I get that question a lot after I do this, and I've tried to go online to find something, and there are plenty of panels like this, but I haven't found any that are quite like this. Measure this, that measure this, and also that are cradled in the back, like a cradled panel. So they have this little gap so you can actually easily hang them. They're not a flat back. You're going to see those as I pull stuff down. Now they're all magnetic, and so what I do is I use rare earth magnets, and that's how they're held up. And I will tell you that when you first look at this, you don't see those magnets at all. When you get closer, you will. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. There are hundreds, hundreds and hundreds of these little magnetic circles. One of my goals in life is to take, I don't know, a day, probably wouldn't take that long, and take every one of these shiny, bright metal elements and rust them so that they don't have the shine. Because when the sun hits it, you just see this bright shine, which is cool. But my middle name isn't Bling, it's Matt. So I may do that one day. Maybe I'll cover them with black gesso, throw them in a vat or something like that. I don't know if any of that changes the how magnetic they are. I would doubt it. So I just have oodles of these. I mean, oodles. Oodles, that's a term, right? Oodles, yeah. So there's just more and more and more. And they're really useful. They really are. And they're small enough so that they work really well because they're so strong, but they don't hide anything. Now you might notice there, and I know I'm a little far away, but you might notice there's some design element there. It's because underneath all of this, those metal panels are these sort of perforated, again, shiny silver metal. I'm not into that. I'm just not into that for a lot of my art. So what I do is after I have everything done, I then choose paper to put on as my first layer. And then I put all these elements over the paper. The paper is mostly 12 by 12 inch scrapbook paper, sometimes cut to different sizes. I have my favorites. Some of them I've used off and on for years. Some are new that I got for this year. Again, if you join me, stay tuned for the build, you'll see that in reverse. All right. So a few other things. Oh, I want to show you this guy. So um, this is a two-parter. I'm going to try to keep it together. So the first thing you'll notice is there's a frame. Whoops. There's a frame. And actually, if you look closely here, you'll see a lot of the things that I put up. I've created some form of frame around it. I'll show you that one in a moment because I just love that layered aspect. And I get so many questions about this barn, which has been in the upper corner. And this is a barn. This is actually a postcard. Pretty good, right? I do have an original, a different barn that's way over there. I'll show it to you sometime, but it's by an artist named Anne Lahr. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Sorry, Anne. Annellahr. She is amazing. She does other things in barns, but her sort of mixed media barns, oh, love, love, love. So I'm hoping she doesn't know this, but maybe she'll watch and maybe she'll send me a new barn. So we got the barn. Um, this is something that I've had for so many years, and sadly, I don't remember the name of the artist. It's just signed with initials, maybe IMS, CMS, but I absolutely think that that's really cool. And I do love faces on here. I like to have faces looking out. Many of you know that Leanna Light makes these amazing series of faces, and this year they all went on vacation. They've been traveling the world, but I think they'll be back, so you never know, maybe they'll be up on the wall again. All right, so let me keep going here. just kind of show you some of the tidbits so you get a better idea of what they are. Really, anything goes. Anything. It's just whatever's inspiring me in the moment. This just gave me a chance to use that area as if this element were a frame. Let's see. Let's pull out these. All the colors, one of my favorite phrases. This is from one of my rubber stamps from Paper Artsy, and it's been put behind one of the old sort of library labels holders. Let's pull this out. Let's pull this out. I'm getting this corner done. And it's interesting. When I create my art, I often create my art from the edge or the corner and then work inward. I very rarely start in the center. I love the edge. I love the frame. And so I think you can see I gravitate that in terms of the breakup. And you'll see when I start, I probably will choose a corner or an edge to begin and then build out from. But I do want to get a whole section done so you can begin to see what is actually underneath. All right, so here's a beautiful old brass stencil. And I just taped something behind it. All right, so we have a gap here. So this paper, which is from 49 in Market, designed by Katie Pertee, is a good example of the kind of backgrounds I like to have. You know, I'm choosing sort of the color. I don't want it to take away. I want it to sort of blend in with everything, but this is like a real typical piece of paper that I would love for the background. It's got some detail, it's got some grunge, it's my style, maybe some splatters, but it's pretty muted. Hello, muted. That is me. And now you see it. I know you can't see it too closely, but let's help you guys out. So first of all, I want you to notice, do you see all those magnets? Circles everywhere, you can't unsee them. And then you can see how shiny that is, and it's perforated. So that to me just doesn't make the kind of background that I was looking for. All right, so let's just continue here. So if I move these over and I keep working this, I love this. This is something I got in a holiday fair in New York City. I want to say 20 years ago. Again, I don't know the artist's name, but it's actually on a metal background. It's a magnet, I guess, for a fridge. So it works so perfectly well. I love text in my artwork, and text goes on here. Text is just, it's beautiful to look at. It's inspirational. It provides a sense of information, emotion. I love numbers. One of the things about this particular year, unlike other years, and it may continue next year, is I kind of leaned heavily into swatching elements. So let me just pull a few of those down. We got that one. Let's see. I know there's more swatching. Yeah, okay, let's see. Pardon my back. That one. Let's see what else we got. We got this one. This is a Tim Holtz paper. Just love the old vintage swatching elements. Oh, we got this. This is from the edge of a 49er Market scrapbook page. You know, it has the information on the back. Don't throw that out. Look at that, right? More. Swatch, swatch, swatch. I know they're everywhere. I just, for some reason, can't find them because you're all watching me. Yeah, there's some up here. Let me switch gears. So I love that. I love all the colors, and I love the distinct nature of swatches because they're so representative of creativity and being an artist or a maker. All right, but let me get back here. I'm getting rid of these. I have this old vintage black and white photograph that I colorized by hand. I bet there's really an interesting story there. Let's see, found, good word. Let's just pull some of this off. And again, some of this you'll see next year, some of it you'll see the year after, maybe some of it you'll never see. Some of it may come out of the box and be used for collage. I put up my business cards. I love my Moo cards. They are always a snippet of my art. They change over time. So it's really interesting for me to see, just like I can look at my old walls and compare them every year, I can look at my business cards and repair them every year. Compare them, repair them if necessary. There's another business card. There's another business card. Let's see, there's probably a few more. Yeah, there's one. And I know a lot of you have these. They are sent with every order from my online shop. And I know a lot of you have a lot of them, and I thank you. All right, so we're almost done with this segment here. And we really can begin to get through this. We got more swatching. For a project, I had some tintypes, some old vintage tintypes, and I needed to use them differently. So I punched out the faces and used them. And this is so not a discard. This was absolutely meant to be used as a frame. And maybe this will eventually go into one of my artworks, or it may go back on the wall, or, it may stay in a drawer forever, but hopefully not. All right, we're going to pull that out. Oh, and just to show you, anything goes. This is just sort of a torn paper from a book. I tore it out and I thought, wow, that's kind of cool. I love the contrast between the lightness of that color and the darker tone of that color matching the shirt. I love the fact that it's so linear on top and sort of structured, but then we have all those tears and the curves. It's a perfect element with everything in it. And it's so negligible. I could do this with things I just pick up and pull around, stuff I have. You don't need to spend money to do this. You certainly can, but you don't have to buy things. This is representing who I am now. And so it's not about looking for something out there for it. It's about looking for something in here, things I already have that represent who I am right now. All right, so let's take a couple more. This is as simple as this kind of cool graph paper, and this is just one of my paper artsy mini stamps, and I just stamped it on, and that becomes an element. Let's see here. All right, so another 49er market, Katie Petit, 12 by 12 scrapbook paper, and we all have some, well, we don't all, but I'm sure most of you, many of you have tons of these sheets, more than you will ever use in 30 lifetimes. This is a good use for it. So let me put that aside. Now you're going to see more and more. You see the wall emptying out, all the magnets, and you see all the good stuff that's still on the wall. All right, let's keep going for just a bit. What do you think? All right, let me just finish this whole segment here. So I'm going to go down here. Let's stay out of the way so you're not just seeing my shirt, but you're seeing everything unfold magically. And I am almost ready. We got all these great little tidbits. And let's just do that, do that, do that, do that, do that, and that. We're pulling out more. This is just a scrap of paper, but I cut it to size to fit. And here we go. Also very small. Needed it to fit. And then also want you to notice that there are less this year than last year, but I also like to hang things from it. So I like the idea that this board extends. So I have these metal thingamabobs, thingamajigs, whoosie whatsies, flotsam jetsam. And I have so many more of these waiting for possibly using next year. But I don't know, maybe I'll use a lot of them, maybe I won't. but I do like the combination of the metal with the paper and all of that. There is a question from several people about including fabric in the inspiration wall. Can you include it? You know, it's interesting. I do have some small pieces of fabric, but actually not much. I think honestly that fabric is an amazing addition, both in terms of the base, it has crossed my mind that rather than using the scrapbook paper or hand painted paper, maybe I would use fabric for the backgrounds. And then bits and pieces of fabric, I think this year will show up here in a much more significant way. So that was a really good question. Okay, so let me do a little bit more up here. And, I think of all this stuff that we do as sort of magic. So I love the word magic, magicians. Um, those of you who have been around the world, scrapbooking world, mixed media world for a long time, you might recognize this. This is a very, very old basic gray paper that has stitching, came with the stitching. Again, another frame up here. We have this metal frame and this amazing, tiny, 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 it's actually a tintype. She was framed in it. She was framed, I say. Let's see, more words, more text. Sometimes the text is legible. Sometimes it's not. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous postcard. It's an original. I absolutely adore that text. The other side is equally amazing. I have a bunch of these. I need to check it out to see if there's any others that can go. This is just something from my good friend, Patricia Larson, who has probably several things up on here, who is the one who got me involved in art. And I just need to glue this back on because I pulled it off. But this is something she gave me back in the days when we were doing mail art back and forth. Small leaf, 300, 498, 4 million, 58 zillion, bazillion. That's very Patricia. All right, we're almost done. A little bit more basic gray. When everything starts flying off this, I'm really into, and I've crossed over into the actual teardown. All right. So there we go. That is looking rather sad because it's lost its mixed media coverings, but it's also looking very excited and happy because he knows, she knows, they know that something new is coming. And I love that. All right, so I am going to work on the rest of this on my own. Maybe I'll take some photos as I pull things down and I can post, full, because I took a full picture yesterday, less. And then it's going to be there shining. And probably if you watch me in lives over the next few weeks, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see empty. Now, what's really interesting is I do have an idea for 2025, but I'm not going to say what it is because I need to marinate and it needs to percolate much more. Because of the nature of it, it's kind of an idea that would require some planning and some precision. And usually when it comes to these kinds of things, planning and precision, there's no, like that's not part of it. But you never know. I do have this idea, and if it keeps coming back to me and it feels right, I may go for it or at least try it, and we'll see what happens. All right, so I am going to just say this for the purposes of the edited YouTube video. If you didn't know that, I'm going to be editing, so I need to do some intro outros. I'm going to say, so thank you guys so very much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time and the interest in my inspiration board or what's left of it. Again, look for a future live where I am going to be building the wall again. And you won't see the whole thing, but you'll see the beginning of the process, which for me is the most interesting. And then I will be posting images of the wall as it gets built more and more online. So thanks very much. Stay tuned, and I appreciate you. Now, no one leave because now we can go back to live and not worrying about, you know, saying or if I move and have to edit it. And I just want to go back, and so don't hang up. You're all thanking me. That was just for the outro. I'm hanging around. I want to see if I missed any questions. So for those of you who are here, if you have questions and you haven't asked, please do. If you've already asked and I haven't answered it, please do. If Janine, you remember questions, let me know, and then we'll see. So yes, for those of you who are live, 2 weeks from today, on January 28th, 2:30 p.m., that's my Mixed Media Tuesday, the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. We do something, demo or something like this, an event. That's when I'll be building. But you know what? I may post along the way some ideas and some references about this. So you may get some info before the actual rebuild. And if you miss the rebuild, you can see it live, the recording of the live on Facebook and YouTube. And I, again, just like this one, I will edit it down to a little bit more of a manageable amount of time and put it on my YouTube videos, not the live section. All right, Randall says, thank you for not using thumbtacks. Yes, I don't like holes in my art, and my art doesn't even have to be my art. I mean, I do like holes. I like tears. I like all that, but I like not because it's the nature of it has to be punctured to be put up, only if it's part of the design. Annie says, how do you attach the metal dangly pieces to the bottom? Oh, okay. So I don't think I can get this off, but this is like a cradled panel. So it has I think maybe a 7/8 inch thick side. Like this is an art piece with a cradled panel. So it has a side. And what I do is I just take one of these. This is a rare earth magnet. And I attach it to the top of whatever I'm hanging. And I just do that. That magnet makes it so easy and interchangeable. Now, I don't change this often, although every once in a while I'll get something during the year that I add or I take something off. But if I were to be doing a changeable wall or changing wall, and many of you might do that, the magnets are just brilliant. Let's see. Chris says, do you always have or know what your theme is before adding to the wall? Never, 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 never. It's very unusual that I have this idea for what I want to do this year. I create this like I create my art. Maybe I have an inspiration. Maybe I have one piece that I know I want to use. Maybe it's a color. Maybe it's some paper or a metal object. But other than that, where it just goes natural. That is how I create my work. I start one layer. That one layer tells me what to do next, and then next and next. And typically, you see when I work on my art or when I work on the wall, if I start in this corner, I'm not going to put something here and then throw something here. It's all going to start here and be built out and just organically grow from what's already there. That was a good question. Leslie asks, let's see. Are you able to create to your standard when you have taken down your inspiration board before reconstructing the new inspiration board? That is a really good question. And I think the answer is yes and no. The answer is yes, because I am still inspired by all that stuff because it's literally sitting around me as I work. And the answer is also no, is because January, I'm usually quite busy with some certain projects. So I don't have much time in January to create for myself. If I'm creating, it's for a product release, and it's the product from the product release that inspires me. I click this. Let's see. Cheryl says I've got a bunch of 3-ring binders that serve the same purpose. I've got how-tos, color swatches, inspiration. Perfect. What a way, you have a small, manageable area because there's a lot of pages. You get a lot of real estate. It doesn't have to take up a whole wall. You can put it away. That's a really brilliant idea. Let's see, any other Any other questions? Questions? Um, this is a great group here, and thank you so much for Janine. I'm looking back over the comments and seeing just how much you wrote. Gone Rustics watching from Tasmania. I miss Tasmania. Can't wait to get back there. What a great time I had there. And Celista sells basic gray papers and Rusty Pickle as well. All the original ones. Yeah. Jessica says, use something like a really old horse bit or maybe a piece of leather from the reins. Just an idea. I love that idea. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that idea for sure. I really do. I like to use odd elements. There have been years when I've had many, many more um, funky, metal-y 3D pieces. This one is relatively flat with relatively few things hanging off the bottom. A couple more questions. Okay. Let's see. Since this wall is muted, as I call it, do you think you might incorporate some brighter or bolder colors scattered throughout the new one? Okay, so that is funny because when I finished this a year ago, I looked at it and I'm like, wow, I got brighter. And this always makes people laugh. But this whole notion of sort of some of these, I know you can't see them too well, except for the indigos really show up. This is actually brighter for me. Very typically, it is very soft vintage tones. This is a piece I made. Whoops, things are falling off. Um, and this is often the shade. It's like the shade of a vintage book page. So yeah, this is bold and bright. This, by the way, has a little secret on the back, which is kind of neat. But I will tell you without giving anything away, is that kind of that I have this idea for the new one, and this idea is centered around color. So if in fact that idea comes to fruition, yes, you will see some bright colors. Colleen says, does anything stay on year after year fades? Yes, definitely some things stay year after year. So among the many, I'm just going to try to pull a few. I showed you this before from Lynn. I love that. That's been there, I'm pretty much sure, every year. This is just the tiniest tiny element from an artist who makes contemporary Japanese prints. And I love that. So that's there. It kind of gets lost, but it's a beaut. Another postcard, got to show you this one. This one is there almost every year. But what I do, isn't that gorgeous? Is I alternate sides. So you may not notice every year, but I love that. And I actually really love that. It's kind of warped and cracked. It almost is crackled. Let's see, any other things? I tried to change it up a lot this year. This is a piece from, I showed you one earlier from Roxanne Evans Stout. And this has been up there quite often. You know, there's so much to it, but all you usually see is the matchbook. It's kind of a matchbook book closed. So that's been up there a lot. This one is also by the same artist. I got it at the same time so many years ago. I'm looking for the other piece. I don't know who it is, sadly. Can't find it. But this one was also a magnet. That goes back up a lot. I think that's just so fun and quirky and textural. So yes, those are some of them. Plus there's some that I've had up there many, many years, but I took down on purpose last year because I was just ready for a change, and they may reappear. You can't see it now, but you will see it when I do the build. And it's not that you can't see it, it's just it's hidden away over there in the closet. But it is a big box that's just filled with all the things that I've collected. And I'll run, maybe even before, maybe I'll do a little bit of a reel or a live, just rummaging through some of that stuff. I think that could be fun. Okay, let's see. Is it hard to get started? Yes, it is. But because I find this task extremely overwhelming and daunting. Extremely, because I am always so busy and I commit to this to start and finish within a reasonable amount of time. That could be days, it could be weeks, but pretty much consistently. And so I do feel a little bit of pressure, and it's not until I get into it that it sort of just begins to build itself. So that is a good question. Um, Hard to start, I'm saying, because of the blank steel backing. Yes. Plus, from moving on from last year to next year. Chris, I think having that 2 week period in between allows me to be eager to start because it's blank for 2 weeks. And you know me, my motto is more, and it's all about the layers. And having that blank, I'm just not a minimalist. So yeah, I become eager to start. This is a great question, and the answer is unfortunately at this moment in time, no. Is there a link to see all your previous walls? But maybe I've been asked that a lot. I've been thinking about it. Maybe I will put that together and I'll put it on my website in honor of the fact that I'm doing this. I don't know how many years I've been doing this. I'm going to guess 10. I will look it up and figure it out. But Isabella, thank you. Maybe that's just uh, the push I need. Where's your self portrait that used to hang on your wall? So I used to have two self portraits that hung here. My art that I leave up on the wall rotates, and those have rotated away. So they are in a stack with other art. Maybe also it's time to bring those out as well. But thanks for noticing them and remembering them, Bess. That means a lot. Like good coffee, ideas need to percolate. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Janine makes a good comment, and Isabella, that the 2022 breakdown is in my YouTube video catalog. Janine will look for the links and post them in my Facebook group. If you don't know, I have a Facebook group, Seth Apter Creative Community. It's free to join. It's 7,000 plus. It's very active, very supportive, very non-judgmental, very creative. If you want to join, please do. When I post this video, I'll put a link down in the information area for that. But um, Janine will post that in the group and you'll be able to see it. Let's see. Thank you for these questions. I hate lecturing. I love conversation, so this is good. Have you ever thought of labeling the back from where? Yes, yes. I think about that all the time. Chris, it's the best idea. It's an idea I've had forever. On occasion, I do. When I don't, I get so upset because as much as I love things that I got 5 years ago, sometimes I just don't remember where they came from, especially if it's like a little snippet. Like sometimes people are really nice. They send me things. This was part of some form of extra that was put in a collaborative project I did. I can't remember who gave me that extra. So yeah, but somehow I always forget or don't have time. I like this comment. Haha, love to share your excitement about the brighter pops of color. Pops of random colors throughout the vintage background. So I guess I'm just a bit of a Jackson Pollock amateur. Well, maybe most of us, or many of us are, but what I really love in my art are pops of red, or a bright pop. So as an example, just I happen to have a piece here. Um, this piece is called Ember. It's an older piece. It's actually was made um, in sort of dark times. Um, and but it has that bright pink because there's an ember or a spark, and it's just waiting to reemerge with sort of the theme of that. So yeah, I love those bright pops. Gone Rustic says, I love your colors and palette, pretty much yours. I love that. People are appreciating the idea of the link to the past walls. Janine put in a link if you can find it for the creative community. And the perfect note to end. Chris says, you have inspired me to give this inspiration wall a try. This seems like it would be something that would help me a lot. Yes, try it. It doesn't have to be a wall. It could be one square. It could be in a book. It could be in a journal. It could be on a loose piece of paper. It's fascinating. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful process. Okay, one more comment. Beth says, curious to see if you will be putting little pieces of your fabric on your wall and how you will incorporate them if you do. I think this year I will. And I am curious too how they will be incorporated because I don't know. I don't think about that. I just let it unfold. All right, so I want to thank you all for being here. This was really fun. If you're joining me late, you don't know what the hell's going on. I'm breaking down my 2024 wall installation in my studio. In 2 weeks from today, if you're here live, which you are, if you're here live, I will be rebuilding it with you guys. That's January 28th. But I also want to say that if you're late, stay tuned. Maybe wait a half day, maybe wait 2 3 days, because I am editing this down to a much shorter condensed version. So you don't have to hear the ums in betweens. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which I love in a live, but sometimes when you're watching it and it's not live anymore, it's not the keenest, most interesting element. All right, so I am really going to sign off. I thank you guys so, so much. So much is coming up for me. Not going to spend any time now, but please stay tuned. Keep watching my channels. Come to sethapter.com. .com. I guess it could be sethapter.com, CALM. Janine, actually, when you make our new uh, plat- platform, our new social media platform, FaceTube, could you also make a whole new domain, a category, something.com, CALM? I'll get it from you tonight. All right, guys, thank you all so much. You're the best. Be well, take care. And the next time I see you here for the build, this is going to be a blank slate. Talk soon, everybody. Bye.